So this is the Nightwatch LW25, and it's a brand that I've never reviewed before, and it seems like they only sell on Neal's website, the Neal's Gadgets website, but they have a reputation of creating extremely high-powered flashlights, and yeah, they kind of remind me of Imalent, but just better value. And the LW25 is a lightweight, very small flashlight, as you can see here, 18350 form factor, but apparently produces 6,600 lumens and up to 424 meters of range. And this thing is minuscule really with that 18350 tube attached. It's perfect as an EDC flashlight, as a walking light, and also momentary long range spotting, as you'll see later in the beam shots, and just times where you need a serious burst of light. Here's a little peek down the head, and you can see the LED in there. It's like a 9-core LED, well, consisting of 9 smaller dies, and this is the N5-165 HPE LED, and never heard of it before, but this might be the brightest 18350 flashlight out there with this LED. Now, if you press once all the way, you just go into memory mode. So this again is the low mode. There's a second low mode, medium, high, and double press for the turbo mode. Ridiculously bright. There's also a few other hidden modes, so a strobe in there as well. Can also lock the flashlight with 4 clicks. So in terms of what you get in the box, there's actually a few bonuses that you normally don't get at this price range. So you have this little pouch, which personally I don't really use that much, but you do have this carry case as well there. Nightwatch also include an 18650 extension tube and one of these diffusers that just fits over the front there. Can be handy if you're camping or you just want some nice diffused light. Basically, if you want to attach the 18650 tube, just unscrew and it goes in like this, and you can screw the tail on like that, just kind of Legos together. And it's great because you don't have to move this clip, you have to shift it onto like a secondary attachment. So you just kind of slot it in and then remove it once you want to swap to the 18350 battery. All right, so here's a little side-by-side comparison, and you can see here with the LW25, I've got the 18350 tube on, and it's a lot shorter than pretty much all of my 18650 flashlights here. Convoy S2 Plus, Convoy S8, and you can see the bezel is actually a little bit larger, which I think is good. It's going to give you a bit of extra range. Let's compare it to my Nlight DL3. Okay, still, this is also an 18350 flashlight, and you can see the size of that one is it's just a lot larger, and I've got the Lumen Top W1 here as well, and this is with the 18650 tube attached, and you can see it's a little bit shorter than my Convoy S2 Plus and S8. So here's a little close-up of the Nightwatch LW25, and the light is made from aluminium, machined CNC aluminium, type 3 hard anodized coating. It's pretty durable, scratch resistant. It does feel a little bit slippery though. It's just the nature of these types of finishes. With the camo finish especially there, it kind of is shiny, looks definitely unique from my other flashlights out there. And yeah, good thing that there's just a ton of knurling here on the side of the flashlight, adds sufficient grip. And there's also standard weatherproofing, so under the bezel there, you can unscrew the bezel. There's O-rings throughout underneath the battery tube areas where it connects on as well, so it should be fine in the rain, but I can't find an official IPX rating out there. And the switch here is made of stainless steel, just basically it's operated entirely by that metal switch, and I'm glad they've used stainless steel and not some rubberized button that you see in other kind of budget flashlights. They just tend to wear out and look a bit ratty with long-term use. And yeah, it also doubles as a battery/charge indicator too. You've got this double-sided friction clip, and yep, it's going to be quite handy especially in this form here, the 18350 form. You can wear it on your hat, the front of your hat, and use it as a makeshift headlamp. And the clip itself, in case you haven't kind of noticed me pulling at it, it feels pretty firm and made of high tensile steel. It's not one of those cheap kind of slinky, bendy kind of clips. I know some people don't mind them, but I like the clips to have a bit of, basically a bit of tension in them, so that they basically sit properly, don't come off in your pocket. And yeah, you've got a USB-C charging port here built into the side of the flashlight. So it's very beginners friendly. You don't need an external charger. It's also compatible, like I said before, with 18650 and 18350 batteries. And I really like how the 18650 tube, so I was demonstrating before, it's kind of just an extension part. So you don't need to actually pull off that clip, stick it onto a secondary 18650 extension tube. And yeah, the light also has reverse polarity protection, very important if you insert the battery the wrong way round, and has proper thermal regulation as well. So once it reaches 60 degrees Celsius, it will step down, and if it reaches 65 degrees Celsius, you're pretty much locked out of turbo until it cools down a bit. You've also got a strong magnet here in the tail for hands-free use. You can attach that to the top of your car, or under the hood to a workbench, that kind of thing. So yeah, underneath the bezel, well, firstly, if we look at the bezel, it's like this crenulated finish and stainless steel as well, which is a nice premium touch, especially at this price point. I'm just really surprised at all these tiny finishing touches that they've added on to this light. And yeah, basically you can unscrew that, go into the light, check out everything inside if you want to. And there is the LED sitting inside underneath an orange peel reflector, glass lens, recessed glass lens. And yeah, it's that NP165 HPE LED, capable of 6,600 lumens on turbo. There's not really much information available about this LED online, but it produces a ton of light, strong, large hotspot. And what I like about it, it's just so versatile. You can have it on the lower modes for a walking light, like a very low-powered, floody walking light. You can also use it for mid-range and long-range, just due to the sheer power. So let's go through the UI. It's pretty basic. So if you just press and hold, you get that low 150 lumens, and press and hold to turn off. You turn on, it's going to go to the last mode that you're in. So basically, I'll start here on low 150 lumens, 660 lumens, low 2, medium 1400 lumens, high 2500 lumens, and turbo 6600 lumens, which I think is like a FET mode. And yeah, you've basically controlling the light with this single switch here. You've got the triple press for strobe, and I don't think, oh yeah, you can activate strobe from off as well. You can double press for turbo as well from off. If you press again, it just goes back into that last memory mode. And if you quad press, you get into a lock mode. It doesn't actually alert you that it's in lock mode at all, but if you press and hold in lock mode, you do get, you're able to get into that 150 lumen mode, and press and hold to turn off, but it remains locked. The built-in thermal step down keeps this light safe and prevents overheating when the light hits 60 degrees Celsius. There is also a lockout from turbo at 65 degrees Celsius, like I mentioned before. Here are some ceiling bounce tests that I ran with the Nightwatch LW25, and you can see here on the turbo mode, 6,600 lumens. You get close to a minute of runtime on turbo before it steps down, and you can see it steps down to about 20% of output. Here's the LW25 on high mode, and you can see you get about 2 minutes of runtime on high before it steps down. You're sitting on about 60% by the 2 minute mark, and there's another minor step down just at the 9 minute mark where you're sitting on closer to 50%. I ran a third ceiling bounce test on the medium mode, and you can see here you get 6 minutes of runtime on 1400 lumens before you get to the step down. Light is on 80% just after the 6 minute mark, and by the 12 minute mark I noticed a slight step down as well, so the light sits just below 80%. Here are some tests that I ran with my Opal Lightmaster Pro, and you can see here I'm using an 18650 battery in the first part of this table, rated at 15 amps, and I measured 379 meters of range and CRI was between 5,400 to 5,900. You can also see with the 18350 cell that I added in, so that's rated at 10 amps, I got 318 meters of range on turbo. Okay, so some considerations to keep in mind if you're thinking of getting the Nightwatch LW25. This thing gets pretty hot on turbo because it just draws a high current, and the temperature regulation kicks in pretty quickly at 60 Celsius, 65. Like I said, you're going to be locked out of the turbo mode. This is probably for the best because you're going to burn out the LED, or worst, run to a safety issue with the battery. So yeah, you still get a surprising amount of runtime on turbo before the step down. And the second consideration is I didn't get the 424 meter range on the spec sheet, but it's likely due to the 18650 battery that I'm using, which has a 15 amp maximum discharge rate, and I suspect the turbo mode might switch over to a FET drive mode where output is dependent on the battery that you use, the discharge capability of the battery. So yeah, turbo won't be as bright on an 18350 cell for that reason, because most of them I think are limited to about 10 amps. And another consideration is that this light will only take an unprotected 18350 cell. So yeah, button top 18650s will screw in, but yeah, if you have a slightly longer 18350 cell, it's just not going to screw in properly. And yeah, you will still be able to turn the light on because the threads are not anodized, but yeah, it's going to impair the water resistance capability. It's just going to feel funny because the head's not going to be screwed on properly. Final consideration is that I think a 21700 cell would probably be more suitable for the LED. Would have been cool if they'd included a 21700 extension tube, but I can see why Nightwatch have gone with the significantly smaller 18650, 18350 form factor. Makes it a lot easier to carry around and also adds to that surprise factor when you turn it on. All in all, the Nightwatch LW25 is a rare combo. You've got ultra bright LED there, it's very compact, it's also great value, for what you pay for. And it'll give those flat style flashlights like the Nightcore EDC29, the EDC37 a run for their money, and I'll surprise at just how far this flashlight can throw a beam. It's a byproduct of the sheer amount of light this thing puts out. Like I mentioned, the LW25 gets pretty hot on turbo, but if you want that maximum brightness / range in a truly pocketable form factor, the LW25 is one to seriously consider. So yeah, if you have questions, let me know down below in the comments. I'll get back to you. And yeah, let me know what you think about this light as well. Is it something that you'd carry around? If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, click the like button and share it with a friend. It just helps me to get the video out to more people. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest flashlight news, make sure you subscribe. The Nightwatch LW25, and I'll put it on the lowest mode here. This is like a kind of hidden moonlight mode where you press and hold. So it's decent for, even a walking light, this would do fine. Short to medium range. Just turn this off. Oops, we press and hold. And let's go on to the other modes now. Okay, so it's low 1, low 2, medium, high. Holy cow. And turbo. Jeez. That's nuts. That is really nuts. And I've got the 18650 cell in here in the light, Samsung 30Q, but you do get, not as bright, but comparable brightness with an unprotected 18350 cell. Geez, the head of this light is getting pretty hot. And kind of as expected with the amount of output here. Let me just see if I can reactivate that turbo. Yeah, I can reactivate that turbo again. Holy oh. Let me just pop that down a little bit. It's way too hot, but that is super impressive for a light of this size to be outputting 6,000 plus lumens like that. Jeez. Okay, I believe it just steps down now straight away, which is a good thing. Turn that off, turn it on again.
Yeah, but it seems to not be allowing me to access the 6600 lumen mode. Let me just keep on powering this up. So low 1, low 2, medium, high, double press for turbo. Jeez. Low 1, low 2, medium, high, and double press for turbo. I think it does have some type of thermal protection, thermal step down here. Low 1, low 2, medium, high, double press. Yeah, that turbo is not activating now, so it's probably for the best. I mean, that is still pretty bright. Turn that off. Okay, let's try again. All right, and I'll go for a bit of a walk. So just for fun, I've got the LW25 to the left, and I'm going to grab my Convoy S8, and this is with the SFT25R. So just to compare the relative spill, and that's turbo on the LW25 and the Convoy S8. So huge difference overall output, and like, look at that, the throw is, if you ask me, it's just as good. And of course, you're not going to get as long before the thing steps down. Okay, it's already starting to step down because the head just gets really hot. But let's have a look at the brightness now as it stepped down. Okay, and then you've got the Convoy S8 LW25. Let's yep, can't reactivate that turbo again. I've got to wait for it to cool down, but that's after step down. Nightwatch LW25, this is the lowest mode. Still able, as you can see, to see into this pathway with those rocks in front. Turn off, and let's go into the low 1 mode. This is perfectly fine as a walking light. Low 2. Medium. It's just so much light. It's just like the perfect combination of flood and throw. High and turbo. Oh my god. Jeez, it gets hot, but it's just awesome that you have a 6,000 plus lumen mode like this. It's such a tiny light. You have to put it onto a lower step quickly though, because the head gets ridiculously hot, and the light will eventually step down anyhow. Holy cow. Walk.